450 main event. Checkered flag out. Tomac wins A1. And nobody does it better than Jett Lawrence. Oh, Eli Tomac's down. Off to the side of the track. Sexton is down. Sexton has dropped them from the lead. RM Plessinger is down.
Don't count me out. I'm not done yet.
Sexton taking the 450 title.
And welcome to round 6 of the RM Fantasy SXperts. I am Chase.
And I'm Charles.
And we are your hosts. Thank you so much for joining us live on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Charles, how many points did you get?
A lot more than you did. I got 67 points. Super pumped. I got 4 out of the 5.
What is
two
wrong
in the
with
right
me?
spot. 2 in the right spot. 2 out of order, but
Oh my gosh.
yeah, not.
I got 20 points, dude. And the packy that you brought, just to rub it in, it's just,
Ooh,
I can already feel my taste buds.
look
I'm
at tasty?
so bothered right now.
nice and exciting.
Well, Detroit is in the books. I was there. I was live announced on the floor. If anybody was there that is in the chat, shout out. Tell me how'd I do? I'd love some feedback. But, yeah, we are heading into Glendale this weekend. Kind of weird they do all these West Coast rounds, one East Coast, and then right back to Glendale.
Super weird, but could
It's
be
got-
availability.
Yeah, the
Stadiums.
scheduling, the stadiums, things like that. But it's still weird.
It is
You know what I
weird.
mean? Like, if you're East Coast, it's show up, and then we have a break after Glendale. So now it's 3 weeks until they get their next race.
So yeah, if
kinda
you are,
odd.
if you're racing East Coast, I mean, you got, if you're certain people that went down in a crash, you got 3 weeks to heal.
Yeah, I mean
that could be
you
good.
Take the positives with the bad on that one,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah,
But yeah,
sure.
I don't know. Round 6, we're going into Glendale. And don't forget, we are giving away 20 tickets for Daytona in this video.
You got suntan, baby.
I haven't been to
Suntan.
Daytona. That is one
That'd
on
be
the
fun.
bucket list.
It would
Yeah.
be fun to go.
I was really hoping Lurch wasn't going to make it to Daytona so I could fill in for that one.
Hey, could still go anyway. But yeah, tickets to Daytona. Comment after this show is not live.
Yeah, after.
So yeah, tell us how many tickets you need.
Premix caught me, dude. I did throw out the, hey, this wasn't necessarily my fault. I won't get too into it, but I did announce the 250 privateer payout during the 450 LCQ. I had them backwards. Well, two things. One, they were running the races backwards, right? They had the
Yep.
450s going first. And the other issue was, okay, I will tell the story. While they bring you up on stage, they're having me live announce the privateer payout.
Right.
But what they've already done, I didn't realize, is that they already had recorded a shot of the check. So all I was just going to do is just talk about it while they were showing the rider on the starting gate. But what happened was, this was for the 450 LCQ. When I'm supposed to go live and start saying this, the Monster Girl walks up on stage holding the check for the 250s. And I didn't realize that they were pre-recording that check for the next LCQ. I didn't know that. So when they cut it to me live, I was like, oh, they've got the check right here. So I'm just going to announce it and read the guy's name off the check. Wrong. So
That's what I'd be saying too. Just kidding, man.
it was kind of my fault, but kind of not.
Such a
But
bummer.
anyway. Well, anyway, you guys know the deal. Why you want to be playing RM Fantasy SX. Let's get the grand prizes up there real quick. Sid and Nick. Shout out to everyone behind the scenes today. Let's get them out there. Grand prize. Here we go. Chuck, that 450 SXF, 250 SX, KTM SX E3. One of my favorite parts of the nights is watching those little KTM juniors.
So cool.
Just watch them full send it.
It is.
Fourth place, we got that VI trip to Fastway up in Idaho and a training day with Wyatt Lyonsmith, a pro racer. Fifth place, you get a year's supply of Dunlop MX34 tires. Sixth place, 2 Stasic 16E drive bikes and accessories. Seventh place, a Motion Pro tool accessory package. 8th place, Pro Honda generator, spending spree. 9th, Fly Racing gear and spending spree. And, of course, 10th, Oakley goggles and or sunglasses and a whole bunch more. Not too bad.
This week, first place, you're getting a $500 spending spree for the 7 gear. Second place, $400 spending spree with the Acerbis. Third place is the Bridgestone Battlecross tires. Fourth place, you've got the Fly Racing gear hookup, so pants, jersey, glove. Fifth place, you've got the gear bag from Fox. Sixth place, the Scotia jump starter. Can start your car, truck, bike, whatever you got. Seventh place, ASV brake and clutch levers. You got the bearing in there, super nice. 8th place is the Rhino Power Pro Prize Pack. 9th place, you've got the Scott Prospect Goggles. 10th place, some goodies from Torque One. So lock-on grips and the clutch and brake levers.
Yeah. Weekly prizes. Hey, don't forget, too, the Fantasy Cash. Someone brought up a good point in the chat there while Chuck was reading those off. Your Fantasy Cash expires after 1 month. So if you got points for Anaheim 1 and you have not used that yet, make sure, if you haven't yet, link your fantasy account to your RM retail account. We did a video. We walk you through that. But link those so that you don't let that money expire. There it is right there. Click on that. Link it all up. Go spend your money at Rocky Mountain. We got Shane McElrath calling in today as well.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, he's getting queued up right now, ready to rock and roll. I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
While we're waiting to queue him up, though, let's get our weekly leaderboard up there, our overall. Let's see how everyone's doing and how bad I suck right now. Overall leader, 299.
Don't be so hard on yourself,
oh,
man.
my gosh.
299 points. That is insane.
I have 117. Look.
Third of the points almost.
So he's almost tripled my score. That's a pretty good gap, though. 20 points already is separation from second place, the amped cycle. 278. It gets really tight from like second through fifth there.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
Just
Really
over
tight.
30
The top
points
10.
separating the top 10. Yeah. So,
But still, a 20-point gap from first to second is not terrible right now. That's almost a full pick.
Yeah.
All right. Look at our SXperts group. Severe Scott. We're going to have to lock the SXperts group, too, at some point so that the overall leaderboard people can't try and jump in there real quick and steal the glory.
yeah.
But yeah,
Gotta be in
242. Charles, we're like you're beating me, but you're still nowhere near
I'm
the top 10.
182 now. Yeah. I'm
Ouch.
embarrassed.
And then look at
Getting
Detroit top scores. Had a lot of people. Still no perfect scores.
Still no perfect scores, but
Yeah.
we've had people in the, top 5 guys. They're correct, but in the wrong order.
That's still not a perfect score,
I know.
Charles.
Well, I know, but it's just crazy.
It is, but still no perfect scores.
Still no perfect scores.
That's not good.
So,
Yeah, speaking
Yeah,
of Danger Boy, that was not good. We're going to talk more about that. But yeah, so there's your overall leaderboard. So big shout out KTM, the sponsor of that, who also donates the bikes each and every year. Remember, support the brands that support fantasy.
Yeah.
Go shop on the fantasy website, click the link, see the brands that are always hooking it up. They're giving away prizes each and every week. So we appreciate them, and I appreciate everybody out there who is supporting them.
yeah.
All right, Bridgestone race recap. Player stats. Let's see here. We'll get through these. Oh, hold on.
Sorry to cut you off,
Interruption.
but, we got the man.
The myth.
The myth.
The legend.
The legend. With arguably one of the best handlebars in all of Supercross history coming up right now. This is the ASV guest caller. It is Shane McElrath. Oh, let's get him up here. There.
What's going on?
Yes, the stash lives.
Love it.
How are you guys doing?
You look
Really
like you're ready
good.
for like some WWE or wrestling or something, dude.
Yeah, I got to do something. I don't have any hair on my head, so
Yeah.
I gotta have fun where I do have hair.
Is the
It's all
wife
about the balance.
is Joy still giving you slack about keeping it clean shaven, or is she letting you get a little bit of scruff going too?
She says I can't have both. So I let everything else grow out during the week, and then I trim everything for race day. When pictures and stuff come out. So,
Keep it going.
but during the week, I'm just like whatever.
Right on. Well, hey, man, Charles and I both watched your vlog from Detroit. I, of course, was there. I got to be down on the floor, which has been so cool to be able to have that perspective on race night. Dude, just how bad was the track? TV will never do anything justice.
Yeah, it was. I don't think it was quite indie status, but it was probably second place to that, and that's like we've had times where Detroit is like super hard packed, like dry, dusty, not quite Phoenix
Last
or
year, it was
Glendale,
pretty hard
but
pack.
yeah, and it's crazy how different it was this year, and yeah, it was for sure soft.
So do you normally set up for how it was last year and then kind of go into it and make adjustments from there? Or
For me, last year I was not really in the same spectrum as I am this year, so it was we kind of just started figuring out where I'm at like the last 2 weeks. So going into Detroit, I actually got a week of training in because it had been raining here in Florida pretty much the whole first of the year. It was also raining in California, so we were trying to get some riding in, but really we were chasing dry weather, and I didn't get to do much. And so last week was really my first training week, and just getting to make a few changes and put time on it before I go to the race. That's kind of been the biggest thing I've lacked, because really my quality riding has been at the race, and I've been trying to test a little bit instead of race. So and then this week I've been sick. So it's
dang it.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. I mean, the thing is, we are doing the best that we can with the time that we've had, and honestly, last year it really kind of didn't start coming around until like 2 or 3 rounds to go. Whereas this year, it's like we've made big strides already. It just, we haven't actually gotten to apply those 100% yet. So that's in the works. I mean, I did a little testing this week, the little bit that I got to ride. So yeah, it's from last year to this year, I know the bike a lot better. The bike is also in a much better spot. Just the team had the whole year last year to continue developing it. And yeah, so as far as data goes, we're in a different spot, but in a better spot.
How much
awesome.
How much different is your bike setup versus Kenny's? I know he's very particular. Are you guys in just such different areas that it's not even comparable? Like you can't share data, things like that?
Yes and no, a little bit. I mean, we're on a couple different so his whole bike setup, like as far as parts and stuff, we have the same parts.
Right.
Engine stuff, I'm on a totally different clutch setup. That's all just rider specific. I have made some changes to my bike to slow it down. Kenny's happy with his. And like chassis wise, everything's the same. As far as like our suspension, we're on different suspension. And like he's on Showa, where Chiz and I are on KYB. And it's just kind of the setup that he likes his bike to be at, like fork height, sag,
Right.
suspension internals, like all that is pretty different. Like I rode his bike a little bit today, and it's just like some things it does good, but other things it does not good, and that's just specific to me. So I mean, all in all, it's close, and he's really happy with it, and I have the same access to everything. It's just understanding where I'm at currently as a rider and how fast I'm going. And it's like the little things that I'm struggling with, trying to let everything work together and take strides together is probably one of the hardest things. And not being able to have the time to do that has been probably the biggest thing. But all in all, we have the same access to things.
Right on.
I'm curious, you mentioned clutch setup. What can you do different to change that up?
Springs, plate, like yeah.
Well, I'm kind of curious what's the difference between his and Kenny's.
Oh,
I guess.
Yeah. So he's on like just a different style setup. Like he's on him and Chiz are both on slipper clutches, and I don't like the slipper clutch. And so up until last week, I was running my whole clutch setup from going back to last year because of stuff we were struggling with last year. But then last week, like there are different plates that you can try. I've finally on a softer spring. So the bike has continued to develop, which has kind of helped me because I kind of made a few changes last week, and that kind of fixed a lot of my problems. So yeah, for me, I'm just on a conventional clutch, OEM springs, just a little bit different plate setup. And for me, I'm not really hard on the clutch. And so it's like I can typically run a softer setup than other people because I'm I'm not hard on the clutch. So that would be kind of one of the biggest things. And with that too, with Ken's bike being faster than mine, he was happy with his power. He will need a little bit different clutch setup than I need. So it's kind of apples to oranges a little bit, but that stuff's rider specific.
Interesting. Yeah, Bogle a few years ago, I was watching him, and I think it was at Vegas when they were still going there for the finale, and his mechanic was swapping out clutch springs just because they didn't want to do anything to the engine package, but he just wanted, it was a hard pack slippery track. So he just said the softer springs just allowed the clutch to slip. You know, it wasn't as grabby. Until he said that, I was like, I would have never in a million years thought that was like something that you would think about changing if a track is slick or hard pack, something like that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
And last,
the chat wants to know if you prefer the cable or the hydraulic clutch more.
Well, Suzuki doesn't have one.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't really care. To me, when I ride a cable clutch, the cable clutch works just like a hydraulic clutch would. Like, I never have to adjust my clutch. Like, once I set it for the start, like, I might have to adjust the tension a little bit for the start, like if it's a new clutch or something. But I never really, I mean, other than a couple mud races, I've had to adjust it a little bit. But I don't use the clutch that much. So the tension is always consistent on a cable clutch, just like a hydraulic clutch would be consistent for other people. So for me, I don't, it doesn't really matter for cable or hydraulic. Like,
Interesting.
Hey, well, I was going to say, so I don't know if you saw the press release. Everybody's been wondering like what happened with Tomac in this last race, right? Because he faded back to 10th. So they made a press release and said, did you read that? Did you catch what they said?
I haven't seen it yet.
So Coker came out and said, and I don't quote me on this, but basically they ran a shock setup that in sticky, tacky dirt made the rear end of the bike squat too much, which gave Eli arm pump. And I was just wondering if you as a rider, if you hear that and you think, yeah, that makes sense. Because me, at our level of riding, it doesn't matter. Like, we don't ride enough to where like we're like, oh, it was the shock squatting too much to give me arm pump today. But for you though, is that something that would make sense in your head?
100%, because that's the same thing that I've been struggling with also. That's kind of the same change that we've changed this week, is to try to give my bike more hold up under acceleration, because it's kind of all full circle, because I've been slowing my bike down because I could barely get on the throttle because it was so aggressive. And so like my suspension setup hasn't really made much progress because we've been slowing the bike down so that I could actually ride the bike at speed. And so now that my bike is actually in a much better spot and I'm riding it more aggressive, now we have to address the suspension setup, because I'm more aggressive coming out of the corners. I'm more aggressive in the pockets of the rhythms and going into the whoops, and just being more aggressive overall. That always affects the suspension and vice versa. And so for me this weekend, that was kind of one of the biggest things I struggled with, is like my suspension is it was on the verge of being too soft, to where it would start out okay, like the first couple laps, but as it gets hot, it would drop off pretty quick and get too soft. And so once the track got really rutted this weekend, I struggled with that pretty bad, because like at the practice track, the intensity's not as high, but once at the race and you're being more aggressive coming out of the corners because somebody's right on your tail, it's like your bike's going to squat more. And anytime that does that unloads the front, and your front doesn't turn, or it doesn't finish the corners, and it won't stay in the ruts in that case. So
I felt like having a low end squat, especially on a rutted track where it's really choppy, if it's squatting too much, you're too low in the stroke, it's going to feel harsh. You're getting that really bad acceleration chop coming out, which we all know. Then your arms, that'll pump you up, and then the front end gets too light. It can start to deflect as it's coming out of corners versus being planted. So to me, it kind of made sense. I just wonder if you did ever experience that.
Yeah. And that's probably one of the biggest things that it's hard because how aggressive Eli rides, like that's going to be more noticeable for him than it would be for me because he's just so aggressive on his throttle. But
Right.
It's good to hear that because, I mean, thankfully it wasn't an injury. Just personally, I'm a fan of Eli, and seeing him back this year is cool. So it's good that it wasn't an injury, and at the same time, just like, yeah, I mean, we all get arm pump at times, and I struggled with it bad the first couple of rounds, and most of the time for me, like arm pump is a setup issue. Like I don't really get arm pump unless like I'm really fighting the bike. And yeah, so it's like I totally understand.
Cool.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
so it sounds like in your vlog, you mentioned something with the whoops. The bike wasn't handled how you wanted it. And
Yep.
it sounds like that's figured out. So this weekend sounds like it might be looking up for you.
Yeah, this week was the best I've hit the whoops, and the most comfortable I've been, and also the most consistent. That's kind of what I've been struggling with. Is like, I mean, in the heat race this week, you could kind of see it. Like that was the biggest place I was losing time, and the whoops were fairly clean. But it's like my suspension. Once it would get hot, like initially in the shock, it's like it's too soft to where it'll just absorb the whoop and not actually like kind of squat and shoot. And so it would absorb it. Well, then it's super far down in the stroke at that point. Then it would just unload. And so I'm kind of just like teeter-tottering the whole way through the whoops and not actually like getting drive across them. So that's something that we worked on this week, and this week is the best I've hit the whoop. So yeah,
That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that.
I heard a long time ago, it was the Kawasaki rep told me that they like Tomac for his bike and his outdoor setup. They valve it for when it gets hot. Like he knows it's going to feel stiff and crappy, like on a sight lap and stuff. But they know like it has to perform 10 minutes into this moto when it's scalding hot, and that's how they valve it. I'm just like, that's pretty wild. Hey,
crazy.
Speaking of the track and the whoops, 45-second lap times, and now we were kind of doing the math, and I was thinking like if this was a 21 lap track, if they somehow could have figured out a way to extend the lap times, you times 10 laps by 20 bikes, that's 200 fewer motorcycles that are going. Is my math right? 10 times 20.
I'm with Jett.
I think that's right.
I can't math.
But I'll say it's a lot less bikes that are going through some of these sections. So when you see a 45-second lap time, is there anything they could do to try and lengthen those? I get some of the stadiums just a little bit smaller floor plan, or is it just kind of the cards you're dealt?
Honestly, it's tough. I mean, a floor like Glendale, where it's like, okay, you've got a lot of space, and that track is normally like a traditional layout as far as like the pretty long lanes, and good bowl corners. Like, I think it's a lot easier there. But like this weekend, it's tough to do that many laps. But I think as far as the track build and the track conditions, I don't care about doing that many laps as long as the track can handle that many laps and break down accordingly. And like this weekend with it being soft, like the layout itself and the build and the jumps were like pretty mellow. I don't know that that's the word, but it was like it's safe, and it's like nothing too crazy. There's no crazy rhythms. And I think that's something that we're starting to run into, is like it was a basic layout this week as far as just long lanes back and forth and straight back to the start and go. And I think the conditions this weekend for sure slowed it down. But in that case, it's like it's a really intense race, and it's going to be really close racing. I think slowing it down is okay if you can slow it down without making massive rhythms that only a couple people do, and without kind of putting a bunch of S turns and just adding I guess, adding track,
Right.
but taken away from the racing.
Gotcha.
And I think that's I just personally, I'm not too worried about doing that many laps as long as the track conditions and the dirt, like it all kind of goes hand in hand throughout the night.
Gotcha. Interesting. Do you feel like, what's up?
No, go ahead.
Do you feel like starts are you a starting grade kind of guy? There's a lot of buzz, right? People talk about the starting grades right now, and they feel like it's making it too even off the starting gate. And if they went back to dirt starts, it would maybe mix it up a little bit more. I personally think that good starters are good starters regardless of the surface that they have to start on, because it's a lot of technique. But where do you fall into that whole debate?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I've been pretty good at both. I think the great, I think it's made me have to be better, and it's made me have to be more consistent, which for me is good all around. So, yeah, I mean, it definitely does even things out a little bit as far as a consistency standpoint, but position on the gate is still really important. Yeah, I mean, the rut outside of the gate is still really important.
Yeah.
And I mean, this weekend I was super far outside and I still got a really good start, but it's like I outside of my gate was a really good gate. And some of the other ones that even some of the top qualifiers they took it over position, not necessarily condition. And so for me, it's like I'm more of a condition over position, just because I can kind of like, you know what, I can get a good start here, even if it's not prime real estate.
Look at Webb said. Webb said after the race that he hit a pothole or a hole coming out of the start gate, and he had to double clutch or something like that.
Yeah.
But it also goes back to his heat. He fell, so he probably.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's on the starting gate. He's like, I don't want to go that far outside, even though it's a better rut. So I'm just going to deal with it. But it kind of bit him a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. I personally don't feel like getting rid of the start gate would do anything as far as making the first turn safer, because it's not like if you go to a dirt start that you're going to have guys that are like a full bike length ahead, and it's going to separate that much, in my opinion, before they get to the first turn. You're still going to have guys just absolutely sending it in there. So I don't know. It's just kind of where I stand.
Yeah. And that's like with the 250 start this week. It's like, it's a bummer because, I mean, all those guys were like super amped up. The adrenaline's high. And it's like, it was just kind of calls from like, dude, if your handlebars are 2 inches behind the next guy, like either guy beside you. And it's like, sometimes you have to just accept it and back off. And it's like, dude, it should have been avoided. I don't think that was a start gate issue.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about it, and I don't know why I keep bringing up Tomac, but I can't remember the last time I saw Tomac down in a first turn pileup. And I think he just knows, like, shut it down. Yep. Like, if it's not there, don't be stupid. Shut it down. Yep. You know what I mean? So, interesting.
Very true.
Let's talk about Jett Lawrence just for a minute. What's up?
No, let's talk about him.
What do you want to ask, Charles?
I want to talk about bikes more, but let's talk about Jett Lawrence.
Okay, watching Jett ride, is there anything that you see on a supercross track? Because on a motocross track, I think it's a little bit easier to pick apart what Jett was doing differently that made him so fast. If you watch the way he would use braking bumps and stuff to jump over certain spots and all that sort. But is there anything that you see him doing on a supercross track that makes him arguably the fastest guy out there right now? Do you study other riders much? Do you pay attention to that sort of thing?
Yeah, I watch everybody. One of the biggest things for Jett is kind of his kid mentality a little bit, mixed with obviously having a really good program and being comfortable on his bike. And something for me, kind of a little bit, I guess kind of in line with that, this weekend is like, compared to the weekends before. I mean, I guess from A1 was kind of like, oh, like Jett won. It's like nobody was really surprised, but it's like, okay, that was good. struggled the next couple weeks, and then this weekend it's like he got out front and he rode his race just like he did every single outdoor moto this year. And I think that's where seeing him do that, like I relate a lot to that in a sense of like when I get a good start, stuff just slows down and it's like, you know what? It's just me by myself. But when I don't get a good start, there's so much more going on that mentally it's like sometimes you'll take chances you wouldn't normally take, which sometimes that's the cost, but there's a lot more happening, and I don't think we get to see Jett in his own little world kind of just like floating around the track when he's not in the front. And so that really stood out to me this weekend. Like he looked like he was just riding effortlessly out in front, but then the last couple weeks, like you could visibly see the aggression and like the front end like on the edge of going out from under him, like at the Triple Crown last weekend. Like you could tell he was pushing hard. And yeah, I think he still has that. He doesn't know his limits yet, which is good, like as far as being young and being having that kind of mentality. Like he's not afraid to crash. He's not afraid to risk it or hang it out or like whatever. And I think that's good for a season because he's still on this uphill climb, as he should be, because of his age and because of his development as a rider. And so I think it's what we're seeing right now is good from Jett, but I think he's going to be even better and more well-rounded as he gets a little older and just learns and goes through some things.
Cool.
Interesting. Yeah, I got a couple questions. One's your bike. You're a guy that's ridden a lot of bikes. So the Suzuki, you hear all this stuff like, oh, same old bike, kickstart, blah, blah, blah. I want to just hear your honest feedback, like how it compares to other bikes and what you like about it.
Yeah. Well, so I guess the thing is like the Suzuki is totally different, like geometry-wise, than any other bike I've ridden. And it's like, even though it's a Japanese bike, it does not ride like other Japanese bikes. Like it's
interesting.
I don't know if rigid is the right word for it. I mean, the aluminum frame is stiff on this bike, but it's also stiff on other Japanese bikes I've ridden. So it's just the geometry of it is different. And the thing, like you've heard Kenny say it, like the bike has good bones. And it's like, it really does. I think there's just not a lot of data and not a lot of people trying to figure it out because it's nobody's really chasing after it, I guess, or spending the time or the resources to figure it out. And that's where, from like outside of our team and maybe the Bar X team, it's like nobody really knows what to do with the Suzuki. Like, oh, this person got a Suzuki, they want their suspension done. Well, it's like, well, here's a Yamaha setting, or we'll throw in there, see how that works. And so it's like nobody really knows. And that's been one of the hardest things for us to figure out is like, what does the Suzuki like? And what makes the Suzuki work? And so, I mean, yeah, I feel like we've done a pretty good job. Like it rides the way that it looks like it rides. As far as it looks front end heavy, like I've heard a lot of talk about like the Honda and how heavy it is in the front end. Like it doesn't look like that when I watch that bike being ridden. But I haven't ridden one. The Suzuki does look like that, but I've got my bike in a place where it's like it doesn't feel like that when I ride. And like I can actually like land front wheel heavy and even be braking and still get it to turn. Like it's not overloaded on the front. And that's also kind of what has made my rear be so soft at times, is like I've been trying to just get my forks to work progressively, like for when I weight the front, it's like I don't want it to just drop straight down. It's like I need it to work. And so the shock has kind of been a little bit of a put on the back burner because I'm trying to get to where I can be aggressive with the front, and then we will set the rear up to match that. But yeah, I mean, it's I like it more and more the more we figure out what makes the Suzuki work well.
Right
That's
on.
interesting. So yeah, sounds like you're getting it more balanced.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a good thing.
Yep.
Well, hey, man.
But even real quick on that, even
okay.
from so that's chassis, but engine wise, like I'm telling you, it's like the Toyota of bikes. I don't know that I've seen a more durable like whole engine thing. Like it just seems like it's built bulletproof, and it has like a crazy amount of power. Like I've been going back towards stock because it's like, dude, this thing doesn't need more power. So
that's awesome.
But engine wise, it's good too.
Right on.
Cool.
Well,
I got one more thing. So you had your best finish, San Fran, 4th place. Your bike, you're getting that dialed in. Where do we put you this week?
This week is Glendale. You know what? For me, I think a 10 to 12 is a really good step for me right now. It's like I feel like last weekend was my first race of the year. It was like first time I got to train, first time I actually raced at the race. And all day I was pretty good on the track. So this weekend it's like I've made some progress. Well, granted, I am a little under the weather. I'm trying to save everything for the race on Saturday, but it's like I think a good 10 to 12 is a good step right now, and I think it's really close to being doable.
Perfect.
Love it.
Well, hey, man, we're stoked to see that you're making progress with the bike. You're saying you're feeling better than ever. So 10 to 12 in Glendale, I feel like we got that top 10 in you, but I feel good about it, man. But, hey, thank you so much for taking the time to call in. You've been a long time caller of the show now, and we appreciate you doing it every single time. I won't be there in Arlington Glendale, but I will see you in a few weeks in Arlington. I'm stoked for that.
That's what I like to hear.
All right, brother, man.
Yeah.
Hey, we appreciate everybody. Go watch this man's vlogs if you want to see all the behind the scenes because it's a blast. Shane, we'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
See ya. Mr. Shane McElrath, everybody. That was our ASV guest caller. I just got the floor announcer voice going on all the time now. Just practicing. All right, let's get into it. Track trends. Oh, we wanted to see Christian. Everyone say hello to Christian. He's behind the scenes hanging out. The top contenders, what is he calling this? The graphic shows just how everyone's stacking up right now. I forgot what we're calling that. Sid, Nick, can we see that real quick? Just to give you guys a rundown so far of all the averages. There's the average starts. And if you follow us on Fantasy, the RM Fantasy account, well, guess what? You'll be able to see this stuff during the week to help kind of make your picks. Interesting, Coop's got the best average start.
Yeah.
Tomac's average start. Tomac, we'll get into it, but it's crazy he's got the 3rd best average start, and he's 16 points down or whatever.
Yeah. Kind of
All
crazy.
Right. Yeah, kind of crazy. Let's
Best
get into
finishes.
Yeah, do we have
Best
best
average
finishes too?
Finishes.
They're scrambling right now. I like it.
Chase Sexton 4.0. Good stats. AP.
Like how many, dude, the top 4 all have an average finish of 4 or less.
Yep.
What's crazy is Jett's 3rd. He's tied with AP. Interesting.
Super interesting.
What's going on with Barsha?
I don't know.
I mean, I know he was a little behind the 8 ball coming into the season, but just he had a 3rd in San Diego, the mud, but really just hasn't done much. I haven't noticed Barsha at all in any race. Interesting. He's had some crashes too. All right, well, here we go. Let's get into it. Track trends.
Check it out.
Yeah, so the track this weekend, dude, have you seen it?
Yeah.
It looks good.
Yeah.
I love Phoenix because of the giant layout. And just how big of a track that they can make. Super long rhythm lanes and everything. Longer. Not a super long start straight, but longer left-hand start. So it's going to be a little bit more of like not so crucial. You're the first guy in the corner like we did last week.
Looking like we got 2 whoop sections.
2 whoop sections. And
keeping it spicy.
But I love long rhythm lanes and the bowl turns.
I love the sand too.
Yeah,
sand always
mixes things
sand.
Yeah, I don't know. Just it looks like a cool track layout. It looks like it'll race cool. Other than that, I've learned not to say it's going to be awesome because sometimes I say tracks look like they're going to race so good and they don't. I don't
And then
know.
it's just
nobody
changes position.
They just
Not
stay the
looking
same.
good for Kenny.
No, it's not. But so yeah, that I don't know. It just looks. I like the big floor layout. I like the
looks
longer
awesome.
lap times. It looks awesome. Everything is awesome. So yeah, that's your track.
Yep.
All right, Fox Racing Top Contenders. And we are going today in order of the points championship. So we're going to start with Chase Sexton, and we're going to work our way through. Of course, up here on the table, you can see we got this last week's results. So it was Jett, who is now almost has the points lead. What is he? He's
down
one point back.
1 point.
Hey, we just got to be grateful we got a tight series. But
Love it.
we'll start with Chase Sexton, though, your points
Okay.
leader. Let's get into it real quick. Grab those out of there. So Chase he's been consistent, right? He's had good starts.
Yeah.
His overall finishes, he's the only rider to podium in 3 of the first 5 rounds.
He needs some
So
milk.
he's consistently up there.
Overall finishes 31852.
Yeah, the only he just looking at it, he just doesn't seem like he has the raw speed to catch Jett right now. So like that's why I'm tentative to put him in first. If he holds shots like he did at that second race or the first race in Anaheim too, he can win. I just don't think he has quite the raw speed that Jett and even Coop. I feel like if Cooper started 3rd place last week, I think Cooper gets 2nd and maybe even catches Jett because Cooper is the best at tracking dudes down late, especially on a track that's beat up and torn to shreds.
Yeah.
What's up?
Well, interesting stat. So he hasn't finished worse than where he started.
Yeah. No, he's
Super interesting.
He's riding great.
Yeah.
And he's putting himself in good positions, and that's how you win titles, right? You start up front. You don't put yourself in bad positions. So he's been doing that. His overall finish is under 4.
Yep.
His start per gate drop, 6.5, but you got to factor in the mud races there. So, yeah, I mean, put Sexton on your podium. There's no reason not to, right?
No reason not to.
It's like people haven't learned. I saw in the chat, some people still haven't learned the lesson with Plessinger.
I know.
Not put him in their top 5. It's like, he's in my top 5.
Do it for Dale.
You know what I mean? Last week he didn't, but Tomac also went from 3rd to 10th, and nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Hasn't qualified worse than 3rd, so he's always getting good picks for the heat. Qualified fastest 14 times last season. Hasn't done it yet this year. Interesting. But hey, that's because there's a number 18 out there. But I don't think Sexton, I think he's changed his mindset a little bit. I don't think he's worried about P1 and qualifying like he was in the past.
I agree.
I think like before he wanted everyone to be like, I am the fastest guy, but now I think he just like kind of like Tomac's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. I feel like we just haven't seen any crazy mistakes.
Yeah.
Which is good.
He hasn't tucked
love
that
it.
front.
Hasn't tucked the front.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Where do you have Sexton in your top 5 right now?
So I have him P2.
I've got him freaking A, dude. I'm looking at my picks right now. I don't even have him in my top 5.
Oh, that's embarrassing. You
No,
haven't
it's
learned your
not.
lesson.
I feel good about my picks this week, all right? It's not for real. But hey, well, that's the hard part, man. I take out Sexton. I got to get rid of Ken Roczen, who looked phenomenal last weekend.
Not looking good for Kenny.
Okay, we don't have to
It
put
is
that
looking-
every
it
time
is
I say
looking
Ken.
good
It
for
is
Kenny.
looking good
Not
for
looking
Ken.
good for
I think
Kenny.
it's looking
Stop
good
it.
for Kenny.
Stop.
Striving
Well-
and thriving.
Should we talk about Jett Lawrence?
Yes.
Down 1 point. Overall finishes this season 19461.
That was just the second podium. Both his podiums have been wins.
Yep.
He's led 48 laps. The second closest rider to that is Sexton with 26 laps led. Detroit was his first start better than 4th after lap 1 since round 1.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and surprisingly, here's what kind of surprised me. And this is going back to Shane's point. And maybe it is a little bit of start cross.
Yeah.
Because I looked at the segment times. And there was 5 segment times on the whole track, right? And if folks that are maybe watching don't know what I'm talking about, they split the track up into segments or sectors. I think they call them segments. I think other sports call them sectors. But and they have basically lap times for all segments for every lap of the race. Jett, looking at it here, what did I write? He didn't have the fastest segment in all 5 sections. So he was just out front early, built up that little bit of a gap, and then just rode consistent laps.
Yep.
It's just consistency. He didn't have to be the fastest guy on the track. It was more about, I guess, not making mistakes. But he did have a couple big ones, though.
Yeah, let's get through some of these stats and maybe show those mistakes.
Yeah. Well, do we have them right? Oh, yeah. Let's show it. Show the race.
Let's show it
recap
up.
right here.
Woo!
Oh.
Catching his foot off the jump.
Is that what he
Bad
did?
news. Yeah. I think he said he hit neutral or something, but yeah, you can see.
Yeah, he caught his foot a little bit.
Yep.
But those are the grab you right. And this shot right here does not do justice. Like if you go stand in that corner, those ruts are literally like 8 inches deep. And so you can tell it grabs the bike and it sucks it down right there.
Yep.
Yeah, he got lucky, man. Jeez.
So-
I didn't see that too during the race. And I didn't hear the crowd go crazy. So it was news to me after that.
Yep. Getting a good start right there.
Yeah. Start was key. And he came out. And then there's Eli Tomac. Who
Start of this race.
hopes and dreams being shattered.
I know.
Look at that bike squatting right now, coming out of those corners. It's definitely the shock.
Well, yeah. First few minutes, though, I'm like, man, this is shaping up. They're all right there. The three guys I want to see dice out.
Oh, I know. It
And,
could have been so good.
Yeah.
Could have
kind
been
of a bummer.
so good. All right. Jett, I have him to win this weekend. I'm
too.
not going to hate on the number 18 man. I'm going to put him where I think he deserves to be until somebody can knock him off. Let's talk about this man, though. RM Plessinger. Kind of a quiet night.
Yeah.
Looked good in the heat, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like Webb
One
went
heat
down.
race. I thought my picks were not looking good. As soon as I saw that heat race, I was like, oh, no. Don't do it. Don't do it.
She was smiling ear to ear. Yeah, so Plessinger, dude, he just looks feisty. He looks fast and aggressive. He believes he belongs up there. So he's back in my top 5. He got a 6th. Didn't get in that top 5 this last weekend, but he still looked like he belonged up there. So he's gone 4-5-1, 3-6.
Yep.
He's got 2 heat wins. He hasn't qualified better than 10th, so don't let that fool you. And he said that when I was in Detroit. I did that little video, and he's like, don't worry about my qualifying. His hair's getting so long. It's so bad.
Well, he's also started 7th or better in 5 out of 7 main event gate drops this season.
7th's not bad, but if you want to be on the podium or win, you got to, like, we had that stat, right? And it's still holding true. Anybody who has won a race this year, including the Anaheim 2-3 races, they've all started 3rd or better.
Yep.
Nobody has come from farther
crazy.
back than the 3rd to win a race yet.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And so, yeah, starting better than 7th is great, but that's going to get you a 4th or 5th place finish. So, but that's in your top 5. We're talking fantasy. There you go. Yeah, he's qualified as far back as 14th this year and still cracked the top 5. Had the red plate for 2 rounds. He's only 2 points back, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Started 14th in Detroit and finished 6th. So, yeah, a little bit better start. He's in your top 5 most likely. So, I don't know. Plessinger's up there. Oh, did you see his pass on Anderson? Mm-hmm. Like, when did you ever see AP just rip past Anderson like that? Let's see that
got
the highlight
confidence.
right here. I mean, Anderson just making a mistake.
Yeah.
Oh,
Capitalizing right there.
I didn't realize Anderson almost died. If you're Anderson right there, I get it, dude. Like, you do something like that, you're probably like, all right, I'm going to back this thing down a little bit. Man, AP's been looking good.
Did you see that post Kent Zaro made? Talking about the importance of, if you're going to case a steep jump like that, hitting the front end first.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of interesting. Cool guy.
Yeah.
Called in the other week. But
Anyway. He talked about that a while back. You remember when Webb jumped into that rhythm lane and mistimed it or like forgot what rhythm lane he was in? AJ talked about it then too, about purposely brake tapping to go nose heavy so you don't rebound and whiskey throttle out or something.
Counterintuitive. Anyway,
But it works. I can't remember CRX Brad. If he got passed right back, I just know what happened. Okay, Cooper Webb. 6 back, dude. When he came off the track.
You got Justin Cooper up there, dog.
Whoa, my bad. Did I really? Oh, sorry.
The right first name.
I was just
the wrong
seeing
last
blue.
name. There we go.
Oh, that's probably why. Yeah, Cooper Webb. When he came off the track, dude, his blood was boiling. And it was just simple for the fact that he just didn't get the start. He was just pissed about it because he went down in the heat race.
Yeah. Bummer.
Yeah, he said he hit a hole or something like that coming out of the gate, had to double clutch a little bit. After that, it was over. But dude, he rode phenomenal. Ken Roczen, which we'll get to, had the fastest lap, but Webb's lap times were right there. And dude, I don't know how you
top 5 guy every round.
Do you feel like Jett's just going to make that one big mistake? Like he's going to crash out of a race? Is that just me being not optimistic?
I don't want to
like,
jinx him.
I don't want to jinx anybody. I just want this thing to stay tight, right? I don't want anybody to have bad races, but do you feel like just he's going to have that rookie oh no at some point that maybe Webb and some of these, well, I can't say Anderson. He crashed all the time.
I kind of wonder if he had his warning this week, caught his foot off that face. And
well, it just shows like you're never in Supercross, you're never 2 feet away from dying.
Yeah.
Right? And Jett almost had that big oh no in that race.
Yeah.
It wasn't because he's riding over his head.
No.
But
yeah, stuff happens.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If it's going to happen, it's going to be because he gets a 10th place start. And like Shane said, he's riding really aggressive and pushing to try and get back those spots.
Yep.
Paul. Levi Wolf calling him Paul. Paul Sexton. Someone wants to know, Charles, if you changed your picks.
I did change my picks. I don't know. I always check, watch qualifying, see how people are looking. Just kind of go between the stats, what we have, how they've done, and then how they're looking that day.
I got to start. I get so, at these races that I live announce, I get so caught up and busy during the day that once again, I watched qualifying and I was like, oh, like Jett's going to win tonight. But I forgot to go in and change my picks because I was just running around with my head cut off. No excuse, though.
Are the people mad that I changed my picks?
What?
That's what I want to know. Are the people mad?
I don't think they're mad.
Because I don't know. I feel like
we
the
didn't hold
season,
you to
it. Yeah,
I feel like the season, you kind of have to. It's like you got to know what they're doing that day.
Oh, by the way, let's just. Oh, go ahead.
Based on all the charts and everything, most of our weekly prize winners, they're changing their picks that day.
Yeah. No, you watch qualifying and you kind of see who's looking good.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about McAdoo yet. You want to talk about him real quick? There's not much
right
to talk
now?
about. Not much to talk about. I don't know. This year? I don't know. All I know is that I was like close to the starting lane or whatever, and when the whole thing went down, I had a front row seat from about 50 feet away of X-rated material. And I could not. So it was just crazy because I watched how I could see like his whole mind process of realizing like, oh my gosh, I just ripped my pants out. My junk is hanging out right now. And then he tried to fix it.
Yep.
Didn't work because it all just fell back out. And then you could see him like trying to figure out like what should I do? Should I ride or like go off the track? And in true Cameron McAdoo fashion.
Mind of a champion, dude. Full send.
Oh, my
Full
gosh.
send. Hey, the interesting thing about it to me is the ends of the levers, they have the little balls on them. No pun intended, nothing. They have the little balls on the little breakaway spot, too, so you don't get cut. So,
Well, that didn't work, but he caught it on he ripped his pants on a grip, I think.
yeah.
Because the grip's
it's all
got
in the
rubber.
vicinity. It could have been
it's all
worse.
there.
So it's a good thing that the levers have the safety protection,
Oh
So,
my gosh. I was
could have
just
been worse.
Could you imagine if on the broadcast, we're on NBC, right? The daytime program. Could you, because if you watch it back closely, you see it. He's just a little bit farther away. And I'm just saying, when it was going down, I thought to myself, please, Lord, don't let this be showing right now on live television. Could you imagine? NBC's like, that's the last time we're ever going to have this race be on the day program. But anyway. Jason Anderson, he's 14 back. I don't want to write Jason Anderson off, but him and Tomac, it's not looking good right now. And I say that because we're 5 races in. Shout out Clinton Fowler. We went fast. Check out his Instagram page. He's always posting really cool stuff. I asked him 2 weeks ago, around then, if he could look up when was the latest that somebody won their first race of the year in the 450 class and still went on to win the title? Yeah. And it was round 46 of the last 50 Supercross champions have all won their first race by round 4. We're now going into round 6. Anderson and Tomac have not won. Even Coop, even Webb has not actually passed the finish line first. Because in the Triple Crown, he didn't win any of them.
Do we make history this year? We want to know in the chat.
Well, we've had racers win later than round 6, but I'm just saying 46 out of the last 50. Yeah. So if you're looking at historical facts, these two, their likelihood of winning the championship is very low right now, especially being 14 or 16 back. But Anderson, he's been in the top 5 the last 3 rounds. That's why you've got to have him in there. He's been in the top 5 4 out of the 5 rounds. He started 6 or better in 5 of the 7 main event gate drops this season, so starts have been good. He hasn't hit the deck. Last year he had all those weird crashes. He hasn't, right?
Yeah.
He hasn't crashed this year. So he's been consistent. Maybe the mud race, but I'm not going to count that.
Yeah.
Took 10th in Glendale's Triple Crown last year, but you have to remember he was riding really good in one of those, and then he crashed. He jumped off the track. But didn't he win one of the Triple Crowns in Glendale last year? Maybe I'm wrong. It says best finish in any of the mains was 4th, but I swear I thought he had done better than that. But either way, I think Anderson's actually pretty good at on dry, harder pack surfaces. So I could see him having a really good night too. And his starts have been good. Still hasn't won and had, so he hasn't won, and he had won twice through 6 rounds in 2022. So we'll kind of 23 was like, ugh. But the year he won the title, he already had 2 wins by now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I don't know. I'm kind of torn.
Is he in your top 5?
Not right now.
Well, no, it's fine. Like there's like 3 riders. Like there's Anderson, Roczen, and Plessinger. That to me, like Tomac, I'm not even in the conversation right now. I don't know what to do with him. But like, or even Anderson, Tomac, Plessinger, and Roczen are kind of like interchangeable, right? Yeah. It's like those 100%. 3, those guys, you're kind of swapping back and forth, trying to figure out which guy you want to put in there that week. You got Webb, Jett, and I guess who would be like your solid 3rd? Oh, Sexton.
Yeah,
those are kind of like your solid 3 right now, right?
Oh, guaranteed.
So the other guys is just like kind of tic-tac-toe.
Then you choose the other ones,
throw a dart.
Yep.
Speaking of, Eli Tomac. What's interesting about him, what are his race scores this year, Charles? Let's see.
So, he's finished 9-2, 9-2, 10. So I'm putting him in 3.
Now,
I'm just continuing the pattern.
So you're putting him
Charles.
in 3rd?
Yes.
He hasn't finished. Yeah, his only podiums are 2nd. And I was talking to Christian about this today. It was a stat that we gave in one of the fantasy seasons where Tomac, anytime he had finished 10th or worse, he had like come back to win the next weekend. So if you're doing what Tomac does, he's gonna come back. He's gonna come back winning or do really well. I mean, So I don't know.
Yeah, that's what's crazy is, like we already said, he was looking so good for the first 5 minutes. And then just started dropping back. So.
Yeah, I mean, we had the whole thing from Yamaha talking about the clutch. Thank you, Sid. She's turned the AC off. I'm literally shivering. Like, I have goosebumps. I'm shivering. But, so I don't know. How many out there right now have faith that Tomac's going to rebound? I mean, this track is going to be the hardest, driest dirt that we've had. And they said his current shock setup is good on harder, drier tracks.
Yep.
I mean, that's literally what Glendale is.
I think things are looking good for him.
Based
on that.
Based on that?
Based on everything else, no. But based on him bouncing back from 10th or worse, plus his bike setup working in the hard pack, I think he's going to do good.
Okay. I mean,
and, if he was just having an arm pump issue last week, started fading back, he's a former champion. He's going to have that figured out for this weekend.
I know, but like last year, he was on the same motorcycle, racing I get Detroit wasn't that ruddy, but we didn't see a single time all of last year where he went from 3rd to 10th. So why is it a new shock setting that they're just trying out this year?
Could be.
Or is it because he doesn't have all those outdoor races in that base, and he needs more time for the fitness side. I don't know. That's the weird thing. Like, if Eli was still on a Kawasaki, I'd be like, yeah, like he's done this multiple times on the Cowie. But he never did that last year or in 2022.
Well, we were talking about the dirt being a little different than it normally is at Detroit.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they were trying to set up for something it wasn't.
Like they went
and
for
never really got back to where it needed to be.
Could have been.
It's kind of what I'm thinking. But
yeah. But wouldn't you know by the end of the heat race that, hey, my bike's squatting too much? Like, it's not good? But they had heat races first. Mm-hmm. Track wasn't all super ruddy and nasty.
Yep.
So maybe the track conditions, you're right. Maybe it was just worse than what they were expecting and the shock setup didn't work.
I don't know. That's just me. That's what I think's going on.
But hey,
time will tell.
Here's what else we need to know about Tomac and Glendale. He's won 5 times in Glendale, which is unreal.
It is unreal.
And so his past Glendale overall finishes 1-4, 1-1-4, 2-1-1. He has an average finish there of less than 2. And Christian gave us a little stat here. His 5-round winless streak is his longest since March 8th of 2021.
That's pretty crazy.
This is the longest in 3 years almost that Tomac has gone 5 races without a win.
I used to be the
He's
man
due.
back in the day.
That's the best soundbite we've had. But all things are looking up for Tomac, if you ask me. Shock setting's good for a dry hard pack. He's won 5 times in Glendale. His overall average finish is unreal, and I don't have him in my top 5. Moving on, Ken Roczen.
Not looking good for Kenny.
Stop. Nick.
He's down 22
I'm
points.
going to confiscate some soundbite computers over here.
Yeah,
that one was me.
March 8th, not March. Oh, sorry. Correction from Christian. He said rounds 3 through 8 of 2021. Well, Christian, type it out better next time. Okay.
So why not just keep blasting people?
All right. Ken Roczen.
Fastest lap in the main last round.
Yeah. Rode really good.
Thought
he was going to maybe get to Chase, but I think everybody was just kind of going back and forth.
Yep.
Had the fastest lap in main 3 last round, you said? Or in the main. Duh, I can't read. He has the most net passes this year. Shout out Dr. JB giving us the lap chart and
26 passes.
Yeah, go to the Discord. Links in the description. Go check out the stats that JB's dropping because they are hot. But yeah, Kenny has made 26 passes this year, the most of any other rider, which means he's had a couple good starts, but he is working his way forward, which is good to see. Yeah. He had the fastest time in 3 of the 5 segments. No wonder he had the fastest lap. He's had 2 out of 5 podiums. Overall, he's only started better than 9th in 2 of the 7 main event gate drops. So that's kind of been his Achilles heel, right? But we had the mud races. And past 5 overall finishes in Glendale. Dude, he's pretty good there.
I know.
6-2-1, 3-3-1, 5-5. 7 straight top 5s.
Yep.
Put Kenny in your top 5.
Gotta have him in there.
Yeah. Yeah, did you see him rail past Tomac in the sand? Let's see this.
That's kind of crazy. On the outside.
Yeah.
On the outside. Sorry about that reference.
That's the kind of pass that And what's crazy too is when he passes him, Tomac looks over just like, dude, I just got smoked. Look at those ruts.
So crazy.
Is that where the shock's packing too much and he gets a weird kick, or is there a little kicker on that lip?
I don't know, dude. That's why I slowed it down. It looks like he goes off pretty straight to me.
Yeah, I don't know. If there's a little rut at the top of that face, it could have been a little kicker, but yeah, he just gets a weird. Yeah, I see that rut he went through.
Cuts across. Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. But if your shock is squatting too much, then that's only going to compound that. And if you're like that and you're not feeling comfortable and then you get some weird kick like that, then you probably really hit the brakes.
Oh, yeah.
But Kenny should be in your top 5 this weekend, no matter what, in my opinion. Just historically, looking how good he's been in Glendale, he should be in there. So, yeah, not bad. And now we're going to transition to the Fly Racing Wildcard Watch. Hey, don't forget about the privateer payout. If you're at the races, Chuck, tell them all about it, dude.
Yeah, if you're at the races, so the privateers, we're choosing one rider each class. We're going to give them $1,000 just for being there. And if they win or finish in the top 3, then they're going to get an additional $1,000.
Yeah.
So just kind of helps them out. Cool little deal.
So 8th
wild
place.
card, yep, 8th place.
Who do you have right now, Chuck?
I have Lawrence, but I saw you had him in 8th as well, so I think I'm going to change that up.
Hunter? Why? Try and
Based on your results for last round.
on my results?
Your lack of getting points.
My lack
I'm
thereof?
just
Is that what
kidding,
you're
dude. I'm
talking
just
about?
kidding.
My lack thereof, dude?
I think Hunter is a great option for 8th place.
Hunter.
Hunter.
In fact, if you look at our picks, it even says Hunter. It's a thing.
So, yeah, I
Who
mean,
else
since
we
we're
got?
talking about him,
Ferrandis, Darty. Yeah, I've got them up there.
so Hunter has had, you got to remember, first round, not there, but 10, 7, 11, 8 start to the year.
Ugh.
So,
Don't mind me.
right in that range.
Oops. Will you pick that up for me?
Oh, sorry.
So here's our top picks right here on the table. He's totally covered up Barsha, dude.
Sorry, I messed up. Overall finishes this season.
You doing all right over there?
Yeah, I'm good. 10, 7, 11, 8. Yeah.
For who? Hunter?
Hunter.
Okay. Yeah.
Finished between 9th and 12th in his last 4 main event gate drops.
What did I just hear? Did you say 12th?
Anyway.
There was a slight
12th.
lisp in there.
12th.
12th.
He's finished exactly where he's qualified in his last 3 rounds.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Average heat finish is 8.5. His best heat finish is a 4th. He did win the overall in Glendale in 2022 on a 250. So he did good there as far as the dirt conditions go. Let's see. He's finished within 2 spots where he started 5 of 6 gate drops. So he's starting there. He's finishing there. So that's not bad.
Yeah. Sitting 10th in points, 7 behind Barsha,
Okay.
3 ahead of J. Coop.
Ferrandis. He's a little bit better if you look at results, right?
Yeah.
He's gone 5, 6, 6, 9, 7. So he is statistically a little bit lesser than Hunter. That even makes sense.
More lesser.
Less likely. Statistically
English.
less likely. Perfect. Practice my words. He's only started in the top 5, 1 of 7 main event gate drops this season. I got a bone to pick just
Okay.
because I ride a Yamaha. I'm nowhere near these guys' levels, but all Ferrandis did was just bag on the motorcycle. Motorcycle this, motorcycle that. Oh, I want to get on the Honda. That's the bike that suits my riding style the best. Oh, I want to work with Ziggy from Factory Connection, something like that. Either way, he's still the same Dylan Ferrandis.
Yeah.
He's a 5th to 6th place guy. So, just saying.
Ain't nothing changed. Ain't nothing going to change.
Ain't nothing changed. If you're Yamaha, you're probably just like, whatever, dude. Sounds good, yeah. So,
yeah, really. He's done
Bike
pretty dang
schmike.
good all season. Though.
He has,
and
but
consistent.
as much crap as he gave the Yamaha last year about not getting it right and this and that, nothing's really changed for him. He's only started in the top 5 one time. He's qualified. He's only qualified better than 10th one time. He's only made the top 5 season when he's qualified 11th or better. He took Glendale in the Triple Crown last season with finishes of 7-5, 22. He DNF'd, but he was right around that 7th, 5th place range. Hasn't made the top 5 in the last 4 rounds. That's his 2nd longest streak since 2021. So, yeah, if you feel like putting him for 8th, maybe it's not a bad choice.
Yeah.
But Hunter, he is beating Hunter every race for the most part, right? So,
Yeah.
Barsha's another guy that, statistically, he's just all over the map. So he just got 7th, which was his best result of the year, if you could believe that. No, sorry. Excuse me. I'm wrong. 7-17. He had the podium in San Diego,
Yep.
but then 13-12. So hot or cold is how
All over
it's-
the map.
He's like Tomac.
But I don't know. Maybe he's shaping up.
I don't
Getting in
know.
the flow.
Remember when Barsha used to just be like known for good starts?
Mhm.
What happened to that Barsha?
I don't know.
He's only started 5th or better in 2 of the last 7 main gate drops, which would be the 2 times that he finished 7th or 3rd. Has finished 12th or worse in 4 of his 7 gate drops this season. I don't know. Like, even if Barsha qualified in the top 5, I'd still wouldn't put him in my top 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to put him for 8th just if you look at his results, but speed-wise, he's in that 5th to 7th place range right now. It's kind of where I'd put him.
So let's take a look at is the Triple Crown last year. Don't say it. The Cripple Crown. Yes. So he took 3rd overall.
Yeah.
Last year. So finishes of 3.62.
It's pretty good.
Maybe that type of track suits his style, or type of dirt.
I don't know. And again, I saw a press release or something from Gas that they're working on bike setup, and I'm just like, as a fan, I get frustrated because I'm like, I hate hearing the bike setup
Bike
thing.
setup,
Bike
yep.
setup. Bike setup. I'm like, dude, you've been on that bike for 2 years.
Yeah.
What are you working on?
Should have it known.
Like he was crushing last year. Before he got hurt in, what was it, Nashville? I think it was Nashville. He went over the bars. Before he got hurt there, he was putting in solid top 5 results all the time.
Yeah. Even in 22, he was 6th in Glendale.
Sometimes I feel like riders, like they're trying to fix something that ain't broken.
Could be.
I mean, I understand always searching to be better. But
better, faster, stronger, yeah. But sometimes you mess up.
Is that a
Sometimes
Kanye West song?
Is it? Man, I keep accidentally saying all these, like, it's in my head.
It is
subliminal.
I don't know.
Subliminal.
I just hear about it, but okay. But Barsha again, he's a good pick for the wild card.
Yeah.
I feel like him and Hunter would probably be my 2 top picks for the wild card this weekend. Malcolm Stewart.
What about Jay Coop? He's been right in that area.
Oh my gosh!
all season.
I forgot we haven't talked about him yet.
I would rather do either Hunter Lawrence or
Hunter
Cooper.
Yeah. Overall finishes for Jay Coop this year: 8.14, 8.9. Overall finish outside of the mud race is 8.3. He's finished behind where he's qualified every round. So he's really good at sprint laps.
Yep.
He started 4th in 2 of the 7 main event gate drops this season. Did hole shot 1. Yeah, let's see. Our advice, do not pick him for the wild card if he qualifies 8th or worse.
Yep.
Do not pick him if he qualifies 8th or worse. Did you put that in there? Was that a Christian thing?
That's a Christian thing.
Okay.
But I agree 100%.
Why is that?
Well, because he does worse than he qualifies. Or usually he finishes worse than where he qualifies.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
Stewart.
Dude, I don't know what to do with Malcolm Stewart. He has crashed in every race. Like, what do you do? Like, he's crashed every race. Like, that's all I can say. He's gone 11, 22, 19, 10, 11. He hasn't finished better than 10th. This is Malcolm Stewart. Because he does this. Like, this is kind of been. Yeah.
He's got some shock stuff to figure out himself.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Whop, whop.
It definitely cracked me up that he went there, right? Tough blocks sitting there. Those tough blocks don't weigh more than like a couple pounds. He was like, I watched it happen. He was going to get ready to like pick up his bike. Then he's like, no. First, I'm going to knock this tough block off my bike.
Well, if he picks it up and gets stuck on the tough block, you don't want that.
I know, but it's like he like geared up like, oh yeah, and like gave it the wind up and like slapped. He just like slapped it away.
So who's boss?
Hey, I cut this up a little bit. There was a lot of time where he was like looking at this guy, like obviously the track guy. He's like, dude, come get this block out of my way. He's just like, I don't know. I don't know if he was expecting him to get the tough block out of the way or what.
What if the track worker had been the one that like threw the tough block like out of the way and he just lands on Mookie's bike? I don't know. But if you're Malcolm right now, this has got to be just, I mean, that was Ando. Ando got like 6th or whatever. So he was there, and just these silly things keep happening.
He's got the speed, but it's got to be consistent.
So you could put him for 8th, I guess. It would be a season best if that sounds. It's crazy that sounds. Yeah. In Glendale, he took 7th overall in 2020. Glendale in 2022, he finished 2nd overall that year with 3.24 finishes. So historically, he's done good in Glendale. But holy crap. Can we just keep it on 2 wheels?
Yep.
What is Christian Craig doing? Did you see his pit board?
I can't remember what it said.
His mechanic put, I think, like his position and then below it put "We ain't done yet."
Yep.
Is that because Christian's like just over it, like he's not trying? Like why would your mechanic put "We ain't done yet" if you're already outside the top 10 and you're 13th or whatever he got? Why would your mechanic put "We ain't done yet"?
Just motivation, get in that top 10.
Unless your mechanic thinks that you've just thrown in the towel, why would he put that on the pit board?
I don't know. Bummer. Yeah, I expected better results from him this year for sure.
Well, everybody does. I just wonder if there's something going on that we don't know about. And I'm not hating on Christian Craig. Like, dude is a phenomenal dirt bike rider.
Yeah.
But, like, what is going on?
We talked about this. So we talked to him last summer about injuries and things and the mentality coming back. And, you know, he said that's not a factor, not something he's thinking about. But I kind of question maybe it is. Maybe he doesn't want to get hurt again. I don't know.
I don't know.
If I remember right, you know, he's had a couple crashes and.
Yeah, he's crashed. So, he's hit the deck too. It's just been a very odd season. Like where is Christian Craig? And when I was watching him, he was getting lapped, and like I could just see, even in his demeanor before that ever happened, I don't know. Just it's a bummer. I want to see Craig rip off some top 10s and get better results.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. That is the wild card watch, and it's time for the Acerbis Lock Em In.
Let's lock them in.
Okay. You go first, dude.
'Kay.
You're beating me in points, therefore you have the tee box.
P1, Jett Lawrence. I don't plan on moving him. Sexton, don't plan on moving that. Tomac, TBD. Roczen, Webb, and Hunter.
I love Hunter. Jay Coop's looking good, but I don't know. All right. I've got Jett Lawrence, Cooper Webb. Did you put Webb in 5th?
I know, kind of crazy. I initially had him in 3rd, but I was like, man, I don't know. Tomac could be a sleeper for this round. Obviously, he's been struggling. But
okay. I mean,
based on stats.
I'm looking at my picks right now, and I left Sexton out of my top 5, which you ever do that? You make your picks, and then after the fact, you realize, like, oh, oops.
Yeah, it's
so I'm
musical positions, man.
Right now, if I were gonna bet anything, I would swap Plessinger for Sexton, but I would put Sexton up a little bit higher, probably push Kenny and Anderson down. I'll look at qualifying, kind of see. That's the hard part about Plessinger, though. Like, he never does anything in and that's why I think so many people don't put him in their top 5. It's because he doesn't get you excited during qualifying.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you look at qualifying, you're like, oh, these guys are up there. Plessinger never makes you want to put him in your top 5 based off qualifying, and that's why it's so difficult.
Yep.
But it's like, dude.
When he's always ridden good. The only thing is there's a couple things that have brought him into the top 5.
Yeah.
People crashing or falling back or whatever.
Who, AP?
That allow AP to get those higher spots too. So
yeah,
I guess that's part of it.
He rode really good at Anaheim, like definitely like that 3rd or 4th place guy. But Sid's picks. Sid, do you want to go through them?
Oh yeah.
Sid is beating me, so
I'm beating Chase.
And Nick's beating both of us.
Nick's beating all of us.
Okay.
I'll let Nick do his picks in a second. But I got Sexton first, obviously. 2nd, got Jett Lawrence. 3rd, Webb. 4th, Tomac. 5th, Roczen. And wildcard, I'm going for Andis.
Okay. Nick?
Okay. Yeah, I'm at 197 points right now.
Okay, you didn't need to mention that, but continue.
Just letting you guys know. I'm going to switch it up. I'm putting Sexton first.
Why Sexton?
He just looked good last week, dude. I think he's hungry.
Okay.
He's ready to freaking take down Jett. Come on.
Okay.
But I'll put Jett second. Plessinger 3rd. Webb 4th. Tomac 5th. Wildcard. Mookie, depending on qualifying.
See, on
qualifying.
paper, Nick's picks look the worst to me. There's no Anderson. There's no Roczen. And he's got Mookie in his wild card. There's not a single stat that would make you think Mookie is going to be 8th. And if Nick gets the freaking wild card with Mookie this weekend, so help me. Because that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know.
With that, I will say the 2 people I've been burned by is not putting Anderson and not putting AP in my top 5 a couple times.
You don't have Let's see. Where your picks? Where are Well, they're not on the script. Where?
Yeah, they are.
What?
They're
Oh.
right above yours.
Oh.
Right here.
Oh,
I got you.
Thanks. Okay, and you don't. So you
And
just
I
said you
don't
got
ha-
burned,
I know.
and then you didn't put
and
them in
I'm
there
gonna
again.
get burned again because I'm like, oh, these guys are gonna pull through this time. But and I keep betting on Tomac.
But those guys are solid. Tomac's the only one in there that like
really raises an eyebrow.
yeah,
right?
but then you look at
And
how he's.
I had Anderson in there, and then I was like, no, Tomac.
But you
he's
look at
coming
how
back,
good he's
dude.
done in Phoenix, and then you look at
Uh-huh.
how he's rebounded every time. You're like, it's not crazy. He just sucked. And then their press release makes me think, okay, he'll be good in Phoenix because of shock.
Yep.
So I don't know. That's
So
all
there
I
you
got.
have it.
That's it. That's Acerbis Lock Em In. Remember, go to the Discord, and it's time for the meme event. Dude, we got some bangers in there.
We do.
It's a thing.
Let's check them out.
McAdoo.
Tough decision.
Dude, what would you do? I mean, you know how hard it is? And it was the start of the main. And, dude, it was so wide open that every time he was jumping, if you were sitting trackside, you could see everything. It would be mentally very difficult to race like that.
Dude, I would have been in the rig. Screw it. Screw it. I'm going to the rig.
I mean, the thing is the damage was done.
Damage was done, so it's like
Everyone had already seen it from the photo people that were on the floor had already gotten a million pictures of it.
yeah, damage is done. Might as
Damage
well go
control.
for it.
Yeah, okay, just send it. Okay, what do we got next?
Hopefully that's not me this week.
That's pretty much how I felt. And when he got third off the start, I was like, oh, yeah, this is going to be a sick race.
Yeah,
And then I just got really mad.
I know.
Faulkner, dude. Good for him.
Yeah,
Good
for him.
for him. Danger Boy Deegan, just riding around with bent handlebars, flipping off the wrong guy.
Yeah,
I mean, if you are a Tomac
It's
fan, that's how you have to
fine.
be feeling right now, right?
yeah.
I wonder what
Yeah, it's
Tomac's
kinda
mindset is.
I don't know, man. Yeah, is he transitioning from, okay, I used to go that fast. I don't have the speed anymore. Like,
I don't
is
know.
he kind of realizing that now?
I don't know.
Sticking in one
it's-
season too long?
It's not like Jett's just dominating every weekend. You know what I mean? It's not like he came out and is like, oh, he just can't beat Jett. It's just a weirdo 5 races for him.
It is weird because, yeah, Triple Crown last race.
Yeah. No,
Came out swinging. So-
for all the reasons he's not in the championship hunt right now, this is not the reason I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Anyway, next.
Got to protect the inside, but you got to be careful. Yeah, can't leave the outside open.
Did we say that?
I don't know. I didn't hear that, but
I don't know. I'd have to.
Kinda
Well,
funny.
Ricky, wait. Faulkner, that's true. He said he could hear the crash behind him.
yeah, I'm glad he missed it and got out front.
Yeah, rode good. I
good.
saw him in
Good
the
for him.
airport. He had a layover in Salt Lake, so he was right there, and I saw him and talked to him a little bit. Yeah, he was stoked.
Cool.
Well, what else we got? I mean, it's pretty
Last
good.
one.
I applaud Vince Freeze for owning that.
Yep.
Oh, that's pretty good. I mean, even if you're a Vince Freeze hater, you're going to see that, and it's going to give you a little chuckle.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, look, there's Dr. JB. Shout out to that man for getting the stats. We appreciate it. That's all I got, Chuck. We're going to Phoenix. We're giving away the tickets to Daytona. Remember, 20 of them. Comment after this video is live. Go check out that Discord. The link is in the description. Go to RMFantasySX.com. If you've never played before, you can still sign up and win a weekly prize. Championship-wise, winning those grand prizes, you're out of it. You're Ken Roczen at this point. You're a little out of the title hunt, but you can still win the weekly prizes. And no matter what, when you sign up, you get that fantasy cash,
Yep.
which you can spend right on our website.
Yep.
Not a bad gig. I mean, for the people, what's up?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, a lot of people made a lot of money this weekend.
Oh, for sure.
So
Good
it's cool.
stuff. Races are at the regular time this week.
Yeah.
So
And
8:30 Eastern.
I think, though, I heard through the grapevine, don't quote me on this, but they're doing the same format of having the 450s go first for the heats and stuff. And if anybody's wondering why they do that, it would make sense, right? If it was on NBC, especially the big daytime program, they want to get the big stars of the sport in front of viewers' eyes immediately. Riders actually liked it. They said they liked doing the opening ceremonies because they're warmed up and everything, and then they just go right to a gate drop. So Yeah, so that's why they're experimenting a little bit with doing, I think, 450s first. But then it's kind of weird because they do them last in the night show.
I know. It is weird.
But I get it. You want them to stick around.
Yep.
So.
For the main event.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I got, man. Good show. Again, shout out Shane McElrath for calling in. Get your picks in. Join the Discord. Put your comments down below. Give us your picks. And, yeah, let's go have some racing. Chuck, you got anything else?
Nope. You got this weekend. You got 1 week off. And then
Sid's yelling
back
at
to
me.
racing.
Oh, we got some depressing news that we have to share right now. Sydney, this is her last show.
This is my last show.
Sorry,
such a bummer.
everybody.
I didn't know if she wanted me to call her out in the show. But yeah, everybody say goodbye to Sydney. She's been around. We love her.
Thanks for inviting me and being nice to me in the chat. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say bye.
Sad day.
It is a sad day.
I hope she has a lot of fun in Italy, though.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a great
Sid, if
experience.
anybody's wondering where she's going, she's probably going to be in Europe somewhere, just traveling the world.
I'm running away. You'll never see me again. I'm going off the grid.
All right. Well, Sid, we better see you in the
Anyway.
chat, though, on the show.
Oh, you'll still see me in the chat. Like off the grid, I'll still have internet.
All
Don't
right.
worry. I'll still have it. But
All right.
yeah,
Off the grid.
off the grid.
She'll figure
but
it out. She'll
I'll
get
get in the
Starlink.
chat.
She'll
so
get that Starlink going.
Just wait.
Perfect.
All right. Well, there you have it, everybody. Sid, you rock. Thank you for all the hard work you've done. You
Yep,
guys have
thanks.
no idea how much her and Nick have to grind to get everything ready for the show. Chuck and I just kind of we throw in some bullet points and get some stats and just kind of show up on Wednesdays. These two are the real
Doing the legwork.
the real heroes of
So.
they're the privateers of 450 Supercross, and we
Yep.
appreciate it. All right, everybody, great show. Thank you so much for chatting in with us live today.
We know you guys are busy.
Yeah. And don't forget, next week is an off week, so no show next Wednesday.
Yep.
Well, with that being said, we love you. We'll catch you in Arlington.
See you next